everybody, and welcome to Talking Comics with Team Venom. I'm your host, Rory Bailey, joined by long-time friend, part-time lover, Mr. Big Philly style, Phil Brown. How's it going, man?
And my secret's out. How are we doing?
Yeah, all right, man. For this week's episode and stuff, we're going to be chatting about the No Way Home trailer, because that just dropped last night, as well as things like Suicide Squad. For some context, we used to have a thing because we were roommates many moons ago. So for context for the listeners, we used to have a superhero movie night was it Tuesday we did it?
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'm pretty sure we burned through all the Sam Raimi Spider-Man there, and as well as the two Amazings and shit like that. So come full circle now, we get to talk about them both coming back. So yeah, what were your thoughts on the trailer?
It was brilliant. It's a really good teaser. I know Kevin Feige came out and said he wasn't going to release a full trailer because he didn't want to spoil anything. So as a teaser, it did exactly what it should set out to do. It left questions more than it told. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was lots of setup in there. And that's great. I like how Marvel have been doing that with this stuff as well. You probably get like one glimpse of a final act scene and that's it in their trailers. Unlike when we saw like the Justice League trailers and everything, where DC went, it's a final fight. It's Superman fighting the Justice League. Like, oh man. Whereas this, they literally, we got to show you that the multiverse is open because Peter wanted people to forget. We're going to show you those plot points so that we can just get to the part that everyone's looking forward to, which is Spider-Verse type thing going on. And I thought it was awesome. So yeah. So what was there anything that surprised you about the trailer?
To be fair, I didn't think they'd show Doc Ock or anything like that. I thought, because when Feige said about keeping things, held back because they don't want to spoil stuff, I was really surprised that we've got any bad guys. But again, it has set up the idea of what's happening. What also surprised me, though, is the release date, 17th of December. It's a very unusual. And I know with the recent Venom trailer that looks terrible, they've changed that from saying, I think it now just says this year or something, instead of saying, you're saying Christmas at one point or holiday period. Yeah. So there is a lot of working on dates going around at the minute, I think.
Well, they've done it with Eternals and Shang-Chi. Neither of them got a set release date, as far as I'm aware. Whenever I've seen any trailers, it's just September.
September. Yeah, but I know so some YouTubers I watch in America got to go to an advanced screening of Shang-Chi the other day. So
I've seen the reviews, and it does sound like it's going to be quite a good film. And we get the connecting thing from Shang-Chi to Spider-Man being Wong as well, don't we? So
yeah.
It's officially going to become the hardest working man since Phil Coulson in the MCU, isn't it?
I don't know. Mine when he's on Ant-Man, who's also now part of the Ghostbusters franchise. So.
That's true, to be fair. That looks great as well.
Paul Rudd's doing good.
That's due any time now, isn't it? The Ghostbusters film, but they haven't said when.
No, again, I think what they have to keep saying is only in cinemas, because obviously there's been this culture at the minute of allowing people to see things at home, stuff like that. But they're determined on cinemas, so it obviously depends on how the world continues to burn.
Yeah, that's it, sadly. Speaking of which, though, because we may as well talk about it because we've gotten to that point. Have you seen Scarlett Johansson just suing the pants off Disney recently?
Yeah.
Because of that exact reason.
Because it's also a similar thing's happening at the minute with. Did you ever play the game Outriders?
No, I've not played it. Any good?
So that was day one release on Game Pass. It's by Square Enix who did it. And they were bigging it up. It's done amazingly well. It had millions of people playing at the start. But they've gone, well, we've not had any royalties yet. And apparently, because most of the people playing it on Game Pass don't pay for the game, they're not actually, the contract doesn't allow them to get any money for royalties for it. So it's another similar issue that this streaming or, early access to stuff is causing complications.
Yeah. I mean, there's been so many people that I've seen in different industries that have had that problem as well. I mean, we spoke to Cal Dodd, who was the voice of Wolverine the other year, and he was saying that Disney Plus was great for the popularity of the X-Men animated series and stuff coming up because he was the voice of Wolverine in that.
Yeah.
And he said, but he doesn't get a single penny. he gets nothing from that being on there because it's digital streaming, so it wasn't part of his contract. He doesn't get any royalties at all, and he's like in every episode, and it's like the top trending thing on Disney Plus for like the last year, and the poor bastard gets nothing. So,
I think the catalyst will be Scarlett Johansson and see what happens there with that case. And
yeah,
I assume Disney will just give her a payouts and tell her to be quiet. But
the thing is with it as well, I've seen like loads of people saying, "Oh yeah, she's being greedy because 20 million is a hell of a lot," which it is. But at the same time, I think if someone said, "Right, I'm going to give you 50 million," then they only gave me 20 million, and I was expecting 50,
yeah,
I'd be like,
because
that motherfucker owes me 30 million.
They have projected figures and stuff, don't they, for what the gross box office will be, and it's Marvel, which is always stupidly high anyway. I myself did rent it on Disney Plus and watched it that way, so I contributed to Scarlett Johansson
to
being unemployed.
Breakdown. Nice.
Now all I've got to do is Hawkeye.
He was sorely missed in that film as well. They just kept mentioning him. He got a frigging voiceover on a phone. That's literally all that poor bastard gets when he cameos in anyone else's film. Like Thor, he was just, I'm going to point an arrow.
He's got his own series coming up, and so fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, to be fair. And
the shows themselves have been amazing, haven't they?
Oh yeah, definitely. And which also ties into the No Way Home thing, because we had you pointed something out to me via the messages earlier about the trailer date being revealed in WandaVision of all things.
Yeah.
And then there's spoilers for anyone. I probably should have said spoilers when this started, but spoiler alert. Obviously,
if you're searching out a podcast like this, you're pretty much clued up with them.
I mean, the spoilers are in the title. But yeah, so it's like Loki ended with. You've seen all of Loki, haven't you? I'm assuming.
Yes. Yeah.
So that ended with like the multiverse going into full force instead of it being the sacred timeline, and now it's like they've done it so that the possibilities are pretty much endless. We got Loki in a different universe at the end of that series as well. So,
and Loki is supposed to be turning up in the multiverse of madness, I believe.
Yes, but whether it's that Loki from the series or a completely different
Loki,
that's the thing. Now, yeah, cool thing. Yeah. I hope it's Richard E. Grant.
Well, I'm getting kind of confused with this whole so one of these synopsis ideas is that Doctor Strange isn't Doctor Strange.
Yes,
but I wouldn't think he was a multiverse version of himself, because it's been shown so far that multiverse versions look different. And like if let's say Tobey Maguire's coming back, then you've got a different look in Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So as to the origins of who this person or what this person could be,
I've got a theory on that already.
Does it involve WandaVision and a very lame enemy?
Not a lame enemy. Well, sort of, maybe. I don't know. At WandaVision, everyone was hoping that Mephisto was behind everything, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously, in the comics, they did the thing where after Civil War and they revealed Peter Parker's identity, he made a deal with Mephisto so that no one knew who he was, including Mary Jane. And they since retconned it, sort of thing, so that Peter remembers it as Doctor Strange casting the spell for him, even though it was Mephisto that made the deal with him, and all that sort of stuff. So I was thinking that potentially, because Prince of Lies and all that lot, the Sanctum Sanctorum looked very fucked up in that trailer. Yes, it was all icy and everything. Like, there's no way it would be like that if it was actually Doctor Strange there doing it. And
he was casting the spell from what looked like a similar place in WandaVision where she was doing the magic from. It was like
one of those Nexus things. Yeah.
Bit,
which would tie into the Mephisto thing.
Yep.
So I was thinking it's probably we'll get a reveal that Doctor Strange has been actually thrown into the multiverse or something like that, and that Mephisto's taken his place for reasons unknown or whatever, which could happen, or it might not. But following on from the comics, that happened in 2007. And they're only just starting to pay that off properly in the Amazing Spider-Man comics now. So they've had Mephisto turning up again. They've had hints about Peter finding out that he'd made this deal because he's not been aware of it and all this sort of stuff. So they've been tying that in with the comics recently. So normally when they do shit like that in the comics, it's where they're going to do something that correlates in some form of media. So like, for example, They killed off Iron Man the other year, but then they're like, yeah, but we've got an Infinity War coming out where Robert Downey Jr. is the main guy, so we bring him back just in time. So it's they like to be able to sell comics that sort of tie in with whatever's happening. In fact, case in point, right next to me, I've got my Wonder and Vision graphic novel that I picked up just like a month ago. But yeah, so I think they could be hinting at it in the comics, ready to use it in the film, or they might not. Who knows? But it could be one of these after credit reveals, like they did in the last one, where they revealed that Fury was a Skrull the whole time. It could be, oh yeah, Strange is Mephisto the whole time, and Strange is, I don't know, tied up in the background in like Hellfire chains or something to set up the multiverse of madness and so on and so forth, which could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could happen. But some of the cool shit we saw in the trailer, how awesome. I mean, and this was like the coolest thing for me in the entire thing. That fucking pumpkin bomb just rolling down the street. Yeah. Saw all that action. I was like, that pumpkin bomb. Yes.
Wish for Peter.
And the freaking goblin laugh.
Yeah. I really liked the quick scene with Sandman.
Yes. And Electro potentially.
Yes, although Sandman appears to be helping Peter in this one. He's from what I mean, it's a very brief scene, but it looked like he was fighting against Electro.
Yeah.
Potentially. So, but he was sort of good guy. They told him Maguire.
Yeah, they sort of ended it that way, didn't they? With him like Rick. Yeah. So that makes sense. To be fair, if they go in that route, so that could be good. And the Electro thing with it being the yellow lightning instead of blue is a much better choice. Because no one wanted that Dr. Manhattan rip-off version like floating around, to be fair. So I am quite happy Jamie Foxx is getting a second chance at the character.
Yes.
And, and in the traditional green and yellows instead of running around as big naked blue guy. So, I did make notes just in case we forgot any of these. So, the lizard thing. Because there's one shot where they've got like a big hulking character in the background with like there's like a really faint circle that he's coming out of, like it's a multiversal rift or something, because it's similar to the Strange spell. And the speculation is that it's Venom because of the darkness, or it could be the lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man films. Have you watched that clip? Is that for you? And what do you reckon?
I haven't quite seen that bit.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if it was Rhys Ifans coming back to reprise his role as Lizard, because I don't think he's acting anymore, is he? I thought we heard about something about that if he was doing something.
Is it CGI?
Venom, it could be. Yeah, or with Venom, tying into, coming out around the same time, because that's my theory on why Venom's not got an actual date yet. Is they didn't know when Spider-Man would land. Therefore, they can't tell you when Venom will land because it has to come after, not before, due to what happens.
Could be, yeah. And then the other thing as well that's also been pushed back is the Morbius film. That was due out last year originally, wasn't it?
I've completely forgot that existed.
Yeah, the trailer came out at the beginning of last year and tied with a multiversal. Oh, here's the vulture.
I assumed Jared Leto played the Joker and then went and lived in a cave for the rest of his life. I don't think
he had his Morbius hair as that Joker role for the
oh yeah,
they've got all because Morbius had got the things with the poster of the Spider-Man the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans with murderer written over it, and and then obviously Michael Keaton's Vulture rocks up at the end. So everyone's like, well, where the hell's this taking place? But that could still be a completely parallel universe, because multiverse and all this sort of stuff, and we could see Morbius turn up in one of these. I think they're happily gearing towards, which I also have a prop, not intentionally. This is just because I'm fucking messy and was reading this the other day. I'm hoping that they're gearing up for Maximum Carnage, which is fucking beautiful. But you've basically got Shriek and Carnage, and then whatever other creatures they can find, and Spider-Man teaming with Venom and Morbius and Black Cat and a few others, and Captain America makes an appearance, which obviously we know can't happen if it's in the main universe, but if it's in the Venomverse, Why not? Why can't it be?
Oh, please don't
Rubbery is from 1991.
Venomverse.
Yeah.
We don't want a Venomverse. We just want one Venom film, and we'll leave it. Thanks.
Yeah, but I mean, they could always do that sort of thing, and there's all sorts that they can go down that route. And you know what? Marvel are like when they spend money. That stuff's just going to happen.
Yeah, and especially Sony, because they're after some more of that money.
Yeah, but yeah, Venom. You said about the trailer looking terrible and stuff, which
it's not
weird.
It's more to do with the dialogue. I don't understand why they're still playing on that. Let me hit him, Eddie. I'm like,
yeah, because they sort of got over that by the end of the film.
Yeah, that was a running joke in the first one. He can eat bad guys. We know that. That's fine. And it's just something. And they become friends, but now in this trailer they seem to be very against each other. He's trying to hit him, and it's I don't know. It looks like he could have done with another year to burn a bit and like work up a proper story instead of going, that was popular, let's do it again.
Well, yeah, because it's like the thing of they'd made peace, like you say, they've made peace with each other. Eddie already knows how to get rid of the symbiote because he did it in that film. Yeah. And there was no negative repercussions on him doing that either. He was fine afterwards. And
also, is there not another shop where he lives? Is it always that's going to same store?
Just go to Mrs. Chang's. Yeah, that is strange. Maybe it's the only one which just lets him Venom out in there. It might be something weird like that. I don't know. But one thing that I thought was cool is we've got Tom Hardy versus Woody Harrelson with fucking Stephen Graham thrown in the mix for some reason, which just as like some random beat cop that's ready to like shoot someone. But I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, I can't remember the character's name at the moment, so I'm useless for this. I'm sure that the character that Stephen Graham's playing is the cop that goes on to become Toxin in the comics.
Ah, yeah.
Which is the offspring of Carnage, which could potentially happen like, I don't know, 2 or 3 films down the line. But can you imagine that? We got a symbiote brawl between those 3. Not Venom Carnage, but I mean like just Woody Harrelson, Tom Hardy, and Stephen Graham. Just like
I would rather the 3 actors fighting than the CGI nonsense that was in the first one. I got a splitting headache trying to watch that film at the end. It becomes just a mess. It becomes a DC movie.
Yes, yeah, it did. I really like the Venom film, but it's one of those things where I really like it, but the first half hour I can completely ignore.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. And then the last battle I can sort of fast forward through it a bit. So I really like the film, but there's like
it's not a great deal there. Yeah. There's an awkward kiss between a female Venom and that's about it.
Yeah, but to be fair, I thought Tom Hardy was great all the way through it, and
Tom Hardy's great in everything.
Yeah, that's true. To be fair, even the Star Trek film he was in, which is viewed as the worst Star Trek film, but he's still great in it. Was it. I can't remember what the name.
I think it was Nemesis. Yeah,
that was it. Nemesis. Played, because he was the clone of Picard, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a bad film.
That's a whole other podcast right there. I'm telling you now.
That's the one that we have to do as a result of hate mail we get from
after that film is when Christopher Nolan decided to always put a mask on his face.
yeah, he did
Dane,
like
the pilot in Dunkirk.
Oh yeah, fucking hell. Oh, also something we forgot about: Daredevil in the trailer potentially.
Yes, I mean that's one of the more common known things that Matt Murdock's in it.
Yeah.
He's going to be so She-Hulk is going to be a lawyer for heroes. Matt Murdock will help her occasionally. So obviously, with him being in New York, he's gone to the scene to help out.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to get Daredevil. I think we're just going to get Matt Murdock.
Which, to be fair, is fine.
Just to show he's there. Yeah,
to be fair, we didn't even get Daredevil in the Daredevil season 1, did we? It was like
no.
The very last episode, he got his suit, didn't he? Which was still fucking great.
I mean, if at any point Punisher wants to turn up and just start blowing them all away, I'd love that. But
see, what if that happens? That could happen. Punisher's first appearance in the comics was when Spider-Man was framed for murder and he went to kill him. Punisher literally hunted him. That was his very first appearance. That's like the whole thing of this film. Spider-Man's framed for murder, and everyone knows who he is now. So there's oh man, what if Castle is in this? That'd be great. They could do that.
Yeah.
We might have stumbled onto something here.
I'm going to write an email.
And we'll make sure we tag Kevin Feige on it so he can go ape shit and tell us to take the episode down.
Yeah. Cease and desist.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting royalties for it.
Exactly. I love that frigging trailer leaked the other day. Did you see what it leaked? The Spider-Man trailer.
No, I didn't see the trailer. I saw a image of it on YouTube, but I never clicked on it. Because it was just sort of a side cinema screen thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like someone filming it off their phone, but
yeah,
it was the same trailer but without any of the visual effects. So I watched it myself, and there was bits, and I was like, I'm sure I've just seen Dr. Octopus. But it's like really blurry and that big on my screen, so I could barely see anything. And I was like, yeah, I swear that was Dr. Octopus. And then the actual trailers come out shot for shot. So, but
I was kind of put off by the upgrade in CGI to his to his mechanical arms. I thought, because I mean, obviously, it's coming from. Is Green Goblin going to wear the same suit as the original film? Because that was a Halloween costume and a half.
Yeah,
Marvel has done a good job since then of fixing stuff like that. Yeah. So, is it going to be a new suit? Is it going to be CG? Well,
Electro's getting upgraded, isn't it? Because the concept art for that guy came out last year, where it showed him in the green and yellow. So, I'd like to think so. And Doc Ock's had a bit of even though they didn't really need to do anything with him, but did you notice they'd intentionally made his hair look like the 60s version of the character?
Yes, I think there's some sort of, like they did with Samuel Jackson when they made him younger. I think there might be some sort of changes made in that sense, especially with Willem Dafoe, based off, Aquaman and stuff like that. He's not the same looking character as that original version, so they might have to do something there.
So I saw a leak last year, and allegedly, this is because Reddit is wonderful for things like that, and it basically said that Marvel had extended their deal with Sony, and that they were, because obviously this should be the last Spider-Man film under the current deal, and then he gets to appear in one of the Marvel MCU. That's what the last deal that they announced was, and this leak said no, they're doing loads more, and they've also negotiated that certain Sony characters. Previously Sony characters can appear in many Marvel films, and the main thing that they're aiming for is getting Norman Osborn and giving him the Dark Avengers, but having it so that there's two Norman Osborns, one that's the main universe and one that's from the Sam Raimi verse. And it specifically said Marvel are trying hard to get Willem Dafoe back. And he's back. So it's like, that leak could actually be legit. And if we end up with a Dark Avengers film with Norman Osborn in an Iron Patriot suit, I mean, I'll just be so happy.
Yeah. Although I don't think James Franco's coming back anytime soon.
No. I think if they're going to have any Harry Osborn, it will be the Dane DeHaan version, just purely because of the controversy around Franco over the last couple of years and all the speaking out stuff on him, which we'll move on from. Unfortunately, he can't.
Ongoing.
Oh man!
So Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen won't touch him with a barge pole now, will he? Yeah.
Which is weird because he's always punching above his weight anyway.
I know. But yeah. So I think the film looks great so far, and I do think we're only getting clips of maybe the first act of the movie, which is cool.
Yeah. It's going to. We've had the setup, so we're going there knowing what to expect, but not what's coming.
Yeah.
Please take a note, DC. Thank you.
Speaking of DC, they've had a really good increase in quality over the last couple of years. Especially this year. I mean, the Snyder Cut that came out, that was great. We were messaging each other all throughout the day on that.
Yeah. I kept going back and just scrolling past the previously seen stuff and going, what's new? Let me find it again.
Yeah. Well, the main thing that was new was they had those Icelandic girls just singing at Aquaman for some reason. He's just getting into one of it. Aquaman. Someone gives him a sweater for some reason. And
Barry Allen destroyed a pair of shoes. That was important.
Yeah. And stealing a hot dog.
To feed them.
Just like looking at the Irish wrestling, like where he's all like creepily looking at her and then just grabs a hot dog like, that shit shouldn't fly. We all know what you're saying, Barry. But yeah, there was bits of it that I thought were really good. I like what they did with Superman. I think that was the perfect way to use Superman in a multi-man movie.
I hated the entire Martian Manhunter premise.
Yeah, that was fucking annoying.
And it was so tacked on at the end that it just wasn't needed whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then obviously they came out with Suicide Squad. Oh,
That
the
was awesome.
Suicide Squad, should I say.
Yeah, I love that.
I've fallen in love with that movie so much because it threw me off guard. From the first 10 minutes, it's just a bloodbath. It's just constant laughs, which I don't think I remember laughing at all to the original one, other than the two jokes in the trailer.
Other than our reaction to Tim's post about it. What are you offending us both? I told everyone, Suicide Squad's the best film ever. We were like, you're a fucking idiot.
I remember laughing at Killer Croc, but not a joke or anything, just at Killer Croc.
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't asking.
And how great was Sylvester Stallone in this one?
Oh my God. I never thought I'd have an emotional connection with the shark, but it turns out I do.
Yeah.
Weasel. It's just brilliant.
Great, yeah.
TDK.
Yeah.
I could have gone for a lot more of TDK, to be fair, but I think once that joke was used, James Gunn's quite clear, once you use a joke like that, you can't then keep using it later on in the film unless there's a unique way to frame it.
Yeah, it did feel like they were holding off on what you could do up until that point just to show that off.
Yeah, he was being very sort of coy with himself. One of the standouts for me is Harley Quinn. I think she's coming to her own.
Yeah.
Just with each appearance gets so much better. I liked Birds of Prey, but this is very much Harley in full mental breakdown. This is, when she's seeing flowers, that's actually blood, and it's, her interpretation of what's happening there and then. I think it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and the whole javelin thing was just hilarious.
Yeah, I think they did a really, like you say, Harley Quinn. This is probably the most source material accurate version of Harley Quinn we've had so far, and Margaret Robbie's been awesome in the role ever since she took it on, to be fair, but she's like gone from strength to strength. Like me and you watched Birds of Prey together, and that was we were saying this at the time, that it was frigging awesome to see the character growth and how they molded the character since Suicide Squad. And then now it's like they've gone, right, she's gone back to prison for a start, but they made the joke of that.
I like that. And I like the Captain Boomerang. Yeah, asking Hals what you're doing back inside.
Yeah, so they at least acknowledge all that, and then they're not even showing her to be, all the way throughout the film, she's not portrayed as a criminal as such or a supervillain. No. It's literally sorry, Karen.
No, she doesn't really get, because I found the Suicide Squad, they made an emphasis so much about her being crazy, the voices and all stuff like this, whereas you got the sense of that this time, but it wasn't like throwing it at your face. It was just her in her normal life and her normal world. And to an outsider, it looked crazy, but she wasn't playing crazy. She was playing Harley Quinn, which is really good.
And then, I know David Ayer said, didn't he, that he'd had lots of films, lots of bits cut with Harley Quinn and the Joker, which explain a lot more of that backstory and how abusive he was and such, which is how he's always been in the comics, to the point where Harley Quinn now works alongside Batman in the comics at the moment. And
David Ayer didn't cut enough, in my opinion, but he needed to cut about 2 hours out of that film.
Do you remember how hyped we were when that first trailer came and it showed the Joker torturing someone? And we were like, oh, this is so great. This looks like it's going to be amazing. I know his appearance isn't quite like the normal Joker, but still, it's awesome. Jared Leto looks great. It's going to be awesome. We're like, man.
We're all convinced. We're all convinced it's going to be Robin, in the end, because of the back suit. I thought it was going to be Robin who became Joker. I thought it was because Jason Todd, because he had the suit and he was laughing now, Batman, and even I think that was still the premise
as well.
Yeah, and up until the Snyder cut, then you saw, we both know what it's like to lose someone, Batman, because he killed the joke. When we were talk about it properly, how you let a boy wonder do a man's job, and it was like this. They're perfectly setting it up there, but but not to be, as the case is.
One thing that I want to give DC props for, there was no Skybeam. There was no change of hue.
No,
there was no Skybeam.
There was
It was fine. They actually went, people don't like a Skybeams. Let's not put one in at this time.
But I mean, Starro.
Yeah, I thought that was
for
great.
A giant CGI monster, it's like, actually, no, that's how you're supposed to do it. It's supposed to, it's brilliant.
The best thing with Starro was that it was like 100% accurate to that creature in the comics. And
yes, yeah.
And initially, it was part of the origin of the Justice League. They all came together fighting Starro.
Yep, yeah, it was the first villain, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then it's like, I think Zack Snyder said in an interview the other year that Starro's impossible to film, or something like that. Made some comment along those lines, and so we won't be using that in Justice League because we can't use those origins. It's impossible to do that. And James Gunn's taken that as like a personal challenge and gone, haha, no.
Well, I thought it was brilliant. That last line of dialogue, I was happy, floating in the stars.
Yeah,
that's perfect. That humanizes the giant CG monster to the point where, he was just,
he was just chilling, and that stuff happened. But yeah, it was mad. Anyway, we'll wrap this episode up because we've been going for over half an hour, haven't we? So we're saying it was there. Let's analyze this 3-minute video we've seen today. And it's just spiraled. So thank you for joining me, man. It's been awesome.
No problem. I want to say congratulations on the suit.
It's cheers,
doing
man.
Really well. So
yeah, it's. I don't know if you tell, that's it in a little plastic frame on the wall.
Well, we'll fill that wall up soon enough.
Yeah. I mean, I've literally sent off for issue 7 today. Fucking issue 7, man. Point of pride. But yeah, no, cheers, man. And we'll catch everyone next time.